It's okay that my characters can break down. It doesn't mean I am breaking down. But I couldn't figure out how to separate it, because generally speaking, I was being hired to be slivers of myself. Everything just feels personal, and you feel naked and completely vulnerable and humiliated.
Only for Tyler Perry to admit he did start a rumor that I was difficult to work with.
Now, actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry sued for $260 million over harassment allegations. The complaint filed in Los Angeles accuses Perry of creating a, quote, coercive, sexually exploitative dynamic with actor Derek Dixon.
Gabrielle Union was never the type to go around burning bridges. But 13 years ago, she made a clean break from one of the biggest studios in Black Hollywood, and she never looked back. After staying quiet for over a decade, she's finally opening. What she's revealing now, it makes everything make sense.
Step up and question more. And it was in the questioning amongst greatness that I was like, this feels great. I feel like I did something here.
This wasn't just about a low paycheck. It was about what she witnessed happening to the women around her. She tried to raise her voice, she tried to help. But in Tyler Perry's kingdom and beneath Oprah's towering influence, that kind of truth-telling comes with consequences. Her being Mary Jane contract, she once said, "I'll never settle for less than what I want or deserve." So, what really went down between Gabrielle Union, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey? It wasn't some explosive blow-up. It was subtle, strategic, and way more common in Hollywood than most people are willing to admit. Because in that world, silence isn't just safety, it's currency. And Gabrielle stopped paying the price. Her last appearance in a Tyler Perry project was back in 2012. It's been over a decade. No cameos, no guest spots. No surprise reunions at his billion-dollar Atlanta studio. Gabrielle used to be part of the inner circle. Her disappearance says it all. And now, 13 years later, she's telling the world exactly why. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And like so many Hollywood stories, it all started with money, or more specifically, what she wasn't getting. Paid. Gabrielle Union has become one of the loudest voices in Black Hollywood, speaking out about pay inequality. At the 2025 American Black Film Festival, during the Allies Sisterhood and Savings panel, she pulled the curtain back. Her exact words, "Your team will say, that's a great number for you." And she started hearing that phrase differently. What do you mean for me? Compared to who? Based on what? Behind the scenes, something powerful had already started. Gabrielle and a tight-knit circle of trusted peers, Regina Hall, Nia Long, Regina King, began comparing notes. Who's getting paid what? Who's being undercut? Who's getting quietly pushed out? It wasn't just about getting roles anymore. It was about survival, legacy, and economic justice. She even recalled one infamous incident in a major production. She learned her co-lead was earning more than her.
I put in the same hours as most men, and if not more, and I deserve to get paid the same. Equal pay, equal work, and that's how it should be.
Stories like that were nothing new in the industry. Black women in power are still getting pushed to the sidelines. But what Gabrielle and her crew did next changed everything. They got organized, they took a stand, they started turning down roles. Each woman had her marching orders and they stuck to them. It worked. Studios were forced back to the table. Lead actresses finally got the pay they deserved. But that win came with a heavy price, especially in Tyler Perry's world, where silence is gold and control is law. Gabrielle began to speak publicly, breaking down pay structures, exposing shady deals. She became the go-to for younger actresses. Facing predatory contracts, he taught them how to ask for more, how to say no, how to walk away. And the more women she helped, the further she got from Hollywood's elite, especially those whose names are etched on the studio gates. This wasn't tabloid drama. It was deeper than that. Gabrielle Union wasn't just turning her back on Tyler Perry. She was rejecting an entire system that only applauded her when she stayed silent. But when she finally walked away from Perry's empire, she stepped right into something even more dangerous, the quiet blacklist that comes for those who ask too many questions. She wasn't alone. All over Hollywood, black women were being punished for simply knowing their worth. And Gabrielle's growing platform, it became a threat. She said the fake support always disappears when you set boundaries. When you say, "I'm done settling," you're suddenly labeled as difficult, and in Tyler Perry's inner circle, that label sticks. Gabrielle wasn't the only one feeling it. The whispers turned into warnings, people being fired in silence, roles mysteriously disappearing, writers let go just for asking about union rights. Perry had done it before. House of Pain, writers gone. Meet the Browns, staff replaced. For Gabrielle, the message was clear. Speak up, and you're next. At the center of all this, billionaire gatekeepers like Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, figures who preached black empowerment on stage but allegedly demanded silence behind the scenes. Gabrielle had worked with both, and over time, she noticed the pattern. Support was conditional and only real when she kept quiet. She never called them monsters. She didn't have to. The system spoke for itself. Perry and Oprah understood how it worked, and they had no intention of changing it. While Hollywood celebrated Perry for his massive studio and supporting black talent, Gabrielle was left wondering, at what cost, and who's being left behind? When Gabrielle Union spoke out on pay gaps and discrimination, she wasn't just telling her story. She was giving a warning, and by 2024, it was clear she wasn't the only one watching. Because out of nowhere, actor Christian Keys dropped a bomb
to my apartment and offered me $100 grand to take my clothes off. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see you.
Christian Keys wasn't some up-and-comer. He was a respected actor, writer, and the co-creator of All the Queen's Men, a Bet Plus show backed by none other than Tyler Perry Studios. But instead of dropping names, he let the public do the math. They did. He talked about being singled out by a billionaire filmmaker, about secret deals, hidden recordings, and hush money that reached 6 figures. He claimed he had the tapes. He said he'd been followed. He said this person had a long list of young black men on payroll, and he strongly suggested that the abuse wasn't just physical, it was systemic, intentional, and deeply rooted.
Soul of my, excuse my French, y'all. I know some of y'all, hopefully y'all have no kids around, but I didn't sell nothing for success.
All signs pointed to one named Tyler Perry. Keys never said it flat out, but maybe he didn't have to, because just days after the video caught fire online, another story emerged. A TikTok post from actor Brandon J. Young, new in the game, shared an experience that felt eerily similar.
Mr. Perry comes in, everything changes. So we literally run the entire episode for him, and he hates it. Does that mean I have to learn a whole new script? Yes, that's what it means.
Jay said he had
Jay recalled auditioning for a basic high school role, straight, awkward, and bullied, but on set, everything changed. Allegedly, Perry rewrote the part on the fly, turning it into a gay teen with a crush on his bully. No notice, no head, no approval. And when Jay pushed back, he was told, adapt or leave. The director stood nearby, sending a clear message, comply or you're gone. That wasn't direction, that was pressure. And this wasn't just about one role. It was about how power can be misused, how fast someone can be replaced if they speak out. It was the same tension Gabrielle Union had been calling out for years. Only now, the evidence was stacking up. People started asking if this could happen on camera. What else was going on off screen? Gabrielle never publicly commented on the Keys story. She didn't need to. The whole industry was starting to catch on. Hollywood doesn't shelter the vulnerable, it shields the powerful. And Gabrielle Union was done playing along. She'd spent years watching her peers be underpaid, disrespected, rewritten, and discarded. But when she saw just how far the system would go to silence women who didn't stay in line, something shifted. She didn't just take a step back from Tyler Perry, she left entirely. For Gabrielle, the breaking point wasn't some meltdown. It was the slow, steady disrespect, the passive digs, the obvious inequality, and the cold silence that followed any time she dared to speak up. She wasn't the only one drowning in that silence. Tiffany Haddish knew the feeling. At one time, she and Tyler Perry were tight, hosting dinners, attending parties, moving in the same circles. But when Haddish faced a scandalous lawsuit that was eventually dismissed and discredited, suddenly, everyone vanished.
Perry.
I lost everything. All my gigs gone.
Really?
Everything gone.
His face, you know?
I don't know, bro.
No one at Perry's studio spoke up for her. Not a word of support even after she was cleared. And Gabrielle, who had long been watching how these powerful allies reacted when things got tough, took notes. The silence spoke louder than any statement. The loyalty, it was fake. And Perry wasn't just doing this to the women in front of the camera. He was burning writers behind the scenes, too. Remember when 4 House of Pain writers were fired after requesting union contracts? That was Tyler Perry. And when the Writers Guild of America called him out for unfair labor practices, he didn't back down, he doubled down. Instead of apologizing or negotiating, Perry made a bold declaration. He'd write every episode of every show by himself from now on. To some, it sounded like brilliance. To Gabrielle Union, it sounded like fear. Fear of sharing credit, fear of being challenged, fear of paying people what they deserved. And it wasn't just about writers. Gabrielle had been keeping a close eye on how studios valued black women compared to white women or even black men. She saw how actresses like Monique were punished for demanding pay for promotional work. She saw how quickly they got labeled difficult for asking to be treated with respect. Gabrielle wasn't shocked, she was just finished. Because every time she raised her voice, someone would say, "That's a great number for you." And she finally understood what that meant. You should be grateful to even be here. But Gabrielle wasn't begging for a seat anymore. She was building her own table. Tyler Perry may have been her first major disappointment, but he wasn't the last. Standing right beside him was a woman Gabrielle once admired, a woman who built her brand on empathy, sisterhood, and giving a platform to the unheard, Oprah Winfrey. And when Gabrielle started looking around hoping for solidarity, honesty, support, Oprah was nowhere to be found. Behind the scenes, Oprah's silence wasn't passive, it was intentional. And Gabrielle wasn't the only one who noticed. Monique had already sounded the alarm years before. According to Monique, it all started back in 2009 after Precious. Despite winning an Oscar, she refused to do unpaid overseas press. She wasn't contractually obligated, and she made that clear. That's when Tyler Perry admitted he'd started a rumor that she was difficult. And from that moment, everything changed. Behind closed doors, Monique says Perry, Oprah, and Lee Daniels worked together to blacklist her from the industry. Perry, in particular, allegedly lied to executives, calling her a problem and never correcting the lie even after,
How do you make that
confessing
right?
he made it up.
You guys, I'm sure you got lawyers. Have you had a conversation?
Well, what happens is when you take somebody at their word, time. We don't need to go to no lawyers, Tyler. You know what you did. Just make it right.
Monique spent over a decade in industry exile. According to her, she used to make $2 to $3 million annually before everything fell apart. Do the math, she lost tens of millions, all based on a lie that Tyler Perry admitted to in private but never corrected in public. You know, Shannon, that lie cost my family tens of millions, she once said. But for Monique, it wasn't just about the money. The deeper cut came when Oprah invited her estranged parents on her show, even after Monique had privately confided in her about their fractured relationship. To Monique, that was the ultimate betrayal. And when Oprah finally addressed it, it wasn't with ownership. It was a soft, vague apology during a group panel. If I've done anything wrong, I apologize. To Monique, that wasn't an apology. That was avoidance. But the moment that still stings the most, Tyler Perry allegedly pulled her into a private room during the Precious press tour surrounded by staff. She brought her security with her. As soon as Perry shut the door, Monique says, his entire team quietly slipped away like they'd seen this before. She claims he pressured her to do international press she wasn't paid for, promising a future payout between $3 to $8 million. When she refused, Perry supposedly backed off, but later helped fuel the smear campaign that damaged her name. Even Oprah's former makeup artist, Reggie Wells, reportedly overheard Oprah say she would never pay Monique even though she knew she deserved it.
Wells said, Monique, I was there that day. He said, and when y'all got off the phone, I looked at her and said, why don't you just pay this woman the money? She deserves it. And she looked at him and said, I won't be paying her nothing. And he said, that's not right, and you know it's not right.
Monique isn't asking for sympathy. She wants the truth. She wants Oprah and Tyler Perry to say out loud what they admitted in private, that they were wrong, that they lied, that they cost her millions. And if they want to make things right, they need to do it in the same public spotlight that helped destroy her name. But Perry, still silent. Oprah, still silent. And Monique, she's still speaking. Because if they did it to her, who else have they done it to? Gabrielle Union had been warning us for years. Not through rage or public callouts, but through calm, steady truth-telling. She kept saying the same thing. This industry is broken. The powerful don't just hold the keys, they hold the silence, the trust, the control. And then, in June 2025, everything blew wide open. Actor Derek Dixon filed a $260 million lawsuit against Tyler Perry in his studio, accusing him of SA harassment, manipulation, and creating a toxic work environment. The headlines were explosive, but for those who had been paying attention, it didn't feel like a surprise.
Now, actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry sued for $260 million over harassment allegations. The complaint filed in Los Angeles accuses Perry of creating a, quote, coercive, exploitative dynamic with actor Derek Dixon.
The details were disturbing. According to the legal filings, it began in 2019 when Perry first spotted Dixon at an event. He invited him to his Atlanta home under the pretense of mentorship. But Dixon claims that night took a dark turn. After drinking too much, he says he woke up to Perry touching him inappropriately. He didn't report it. He was afraid, new to the business and unsure of his future. But things didn't end there.
Perry climbed into bed with him and tried to initiate. Dixon says he tried to distance himself from Perry, but he was offered a role on Perry's show, The Oval.
Screenshots included in the court documents confirmed it. Perry allegedly sent explicit text messages, one asking, "What's it going to take for you to have guiltless espers? Have y'all found that yet in therapy?" Another read, "I would hope you'd let someone hold you and make love to you. You're missing the best years of your life, my friend." And another one, Perry allegedly warned Dixon to keep their relationship a secret. "If you let the cast know you and I have a new friendship, then you're inviting a lot of nonsense. You earned your spot. Don't give them an excuse to take it." Dixon called it what it was, manipulation, dressed up as mentorship. And it didn't stop there. Dixon said he stayed quiet even while working on The Oval and Ruthless, but the texts kept coming. The behavior allegedly escalated. By 2021, he claims Perry entered his guest house, pulled down his underwear, and whispered, "Relax, just let it happen." That's when Dixon knew he had to leave. By June 2024, he filed an EEOC complaint. And in 2025, he sued now. Gabrielle Union's past warnings don't sound like complaints. They sound like predictions. She'd been talking for years about control, exploitation, and powerful figures manipulating the narrative both on and off the set. Dixon's lawsuit wasn't just about what happened to him, it was about the system that let it happen. A system Gabrielle Union had already walked away from. And now no one's calling her difficult. They're just scrambling to catch up. After everything Gabrielle went through being sidelined, watching others get hurt, witnessing the power plays behind the curtain, she made a decision. She didn't go on a smear campaign. She didn't rant online. She simply backed away and let the truth rise on its own. And now that truth is catching up to the very people she distanced herself from. Derek Dixon's lawsuit became the confirmation many had been waiting on. His harassment allegations against Perry weren't just explosive, they echoed what many already suspected. Christian Keys had hinted at the same dynamics in his video. Brandon Jay's TikTok account shared his experience with onset coercion, and Tiffany Haddish's emotional fallout showed how fast family disappears when things go wrong. Everything Gabrielle had warned about, it was all coming together. She tried to tell people this industry isn't fair. The applause some black creators receive in public hides how they treat people behind the scenes. She called out pay gaps. She exposed favoritism. She talked about how hard it is to say no in an industry where silence equals survival. And when she finally spoke up, they hit her with the label difficult. Opportunities vanished. Connections grew cold. People backed away because that's the cost women like her pay for being honest, especially black women in Hollywood. While Tyler Perry continued to get praise for his empire and Oprah stayed perched as a symbol of inspiration, Gabrielle Union was being frozen out, quietly, deliberately. But she wasn't bitter. She just refused to keep playing the game. She didn't want power if it meant being complicit. She didn't want visibility if it required lying to other women. She saw the signs. She chose to walk and protect others in the process instead of begging for a seat at a rigged table. She built new ones. She mentored younger actresses. She helped them negotiate their worth. She told the truth about what it really felt like to exist in Hollywood. She stood with Monique when no one else would. She made the connections clear even without shouting. And now, in 2025, no one is questioning Gabrielle Union's credibility. Not after the stories, not after the lawsuits, not after people saw who these powerful figures really are behind the curtain. Gabrielle Union always understood the game. She just chose not to lose herself trying to win it, and because she walked away, more people are finally seeing the truth about the industry she left behind. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks.